Alrighty guys, what is up? Welcome back to Factorio with LD7, and today we're just going to be taking a look. So I went ahead and got our yellow science factory set up, so the robots have finished building it at this point. With that being said, basically all these blue machines in here are supposed to be yellow, so the T3s, just to make it run faster. I don't have a way to build, or I don't have a factory that's building the green, or these guys automatically yet, so I just went ahead and put them all in as blues. I put 2 productivity module 1s in each of these yellow labs just because it's worth doing for yellow science, just because of the materials it takes. They take fucking forever to build, so I wanted to do that. We still need to connect this belt of science packs over to our labs though, so we're going to go ahead and get that taken care of real quick. Then we can start doing some yellow science research, which will be pretty good. It'll feel pretty nice. So let's go ahead and just run this bitch all the way down. I think for the most part this is an open area. Like, there's some oil stuff, but that's not too big of a deal. But anyway, so we got that set up. In order to run that yellow science factory, I did expand to the coal, copper, and iron that are up near that factory's location. So that's where we're getting the resources to set up. We'll show that off after I finish building this belt, I suppose, just so you can kind of see what it's taking. But basically I've got 60 furnaces, electric furnaces rather, making copper. I've got 40 making iron. I've got 20 making steel, and then I've got 15 drills mining coal, which seems to be enough to run all of the whatchamacallits, all the plastic factories that are in it. So that's what we've got. Not too bad, honestly. It was pretty quick to set up because I just had the robots build it after I blueprinted everything. I did have to extend RoboPort coverage a little bit, but that's alright. It's not... RoboPorts are pretty easy because we have them automated fairly well at this point in the game. Now getting these yellow packs where we want might be a little bit of a challenge, so if we come down here, where is the input supposed to go? So that's red and green right there. Okay, so we're actually doing okay. This is coming down in a good spot, honestly. So what I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna bring it over like this, and then bring it down, maybe? So right here, then right here, and we'll just run another underground across these belts real quick. The yellow input's on the bottom of the purples, so not too big of a deal. I just want to keep that in mind because I do need it to go in the right spot. I mean, technically speaking, I could just put this on the other red belt that's on this side, and that's fine as well, and then I can just put the space science packs on the purple belt. It doesn't necessarily matter. Damn it. Not what I wanted. Misclicked. So, that's fine. Let's do this, and I'm probably going to want to run it underground right here. That's long enough to reach. Cool. And what I can do, since I picked up a couple of those packs, is I can just do this and hold the Z key on the belt, and it'll drop it on the belt for me. So there we go. Those are where I want them to be. So I could just put the yellows coming in right here, as opposed to running it all the way over to that. Doesn't necessarily matter, I guess. But let's go ahead and run it down so it's at least at the right level, I guess. So that's looking good. And I think our power is doing okay as well. Like, I would like to set up nuclear power still, just for when it's nighttime. It's a little bit better than the coal power, but there we go. So we've got yellow science connected. Our labs will slowly start filling up with that, and we'll get more produced. But there we go. So we've got yellow science all raring to go. Let it kind of fill up the labs. That's fine. I went ahead and did the covarics enrichment process. It cost 1,500 of all the science packs except for the military and the yellows. So we should be good on that. Once that's finished researching, we'll go ahead and start doing some of the yellow researches, so we can kind of keep pushing forward. Not too big of a deal. I do want to try to get space science research so we can put that factory in, and then we'll have all the research packs that we're going to need to get everything done, and then we can kind of focus on building out resource gathering so we can actually build the rocket and everything. As far as where I'm going to put the space science factory, I'm not quite sure. I'm sure it's going to take iron and copper, so part of me like really wants to put it down here. We'll have to clear out this biter, and this biter in order to do that, however. So that might be a little bit dicey, but we probably can handle it. Our armor is actually decent, so I've got an energy shield inside as well as a personal laser defense inside. So what this guy does is it automatically shoots lasers at enemies as they come and attack you, and I've done enough. I think I've gotten to level 4 on the laser damage and shooting speed researches, so we get an extra 33 laser damage and it shoots an extra 1.35 rounds per second, so that's not too bad. Like, it's upgraded fairly well. Basically we do 63 damage for each shot, and we're shooting a lot at a time. Before I start any yellow research, I'm probably going to wait for this to kind of buffer a little bit on the yellow packs, just because we are producing them relatively slowly. They do trickle in. It's just, since we're not using the tier 3 assembly machines in that factory, it is not producing all that fast. With that being said, it's not necessarily the end of the world. We can kind of, deal with that as it becomes more relevant. Like, if we, I know there's like, once you get to this point in the game where you're using the yellow and the purples, like, all the researches cost hundreds of science packs, so you need a lot of them in order to research things effectively or quickly, I guess. Granted, we've got all of our labs, all 36 of them, filled with all the science packs. These ones are missing blues for some reason, so I guess we're low on blues, but that's okay. That kind of makes sense to a certain degree, just because we're not, like, we don't have a whole lot of blue science being produced. I am going to change this to a red belt, though, just so it comes over a little bit faster once they are built. What I could do to increase that is I could put productivity modules inside of the labs that are making our blue science as well. Basically, what a productivity module does is it increases the amount of items produced for each round. I just can't build these because I don't have the red circuits at the moment. Like, I could go stand on this belt and gather some red circuits and make a few prod modules, but it's okay. Like, we're producing blue science fast enough. It's just because we're doing a research that takes a fuck ton of blue science that we're kind of a little bit low on it. Purple science is looking really good. Military science is looking good. Red and green is looking really good. So it's not a big deal. We'll just let stuff buffer, I guess, for a little bit before we start the next research after this one's done. We probably still have a couple 300 more to go, and that's just being limited by our blue science at this point, which not ideal, but it's okay. I mean, whatever. We'll get there when we get there, I guess. I could put speed modules in there as well to increase the speed. So, like, I could do a speed and a prod module in each of those labs, and that would help a little bit. But I mean, we've got 12 labs doing blue science. That's way more labs doing blue science than any other. Like, purple only has 7, yellow only has 7, military only has like 7. So we're making a lot of blue science. It's just we need a lot of blue science to do the researches because it's used for all of them. Whereas the purple, military, and yellows are not. Like, they're used for only some research. We are starting to buffer a little bit of yellow science, though, so it has kind of broken through. Eventually, like, this is a super long fucking belt, so I mean, we can hold probably close to 1,000 science packs on this belt, all things considered. We'd be able to hold even more if I threw a splitter all the way back at the front and had it split so it puts it on both sides of the belt as opposed to just one. I'm not too worried about that, though, so we're just going to let it build up a single line. That's enough. Like, in the time it would take, like, if we fill up that entire belt with yellow science packs, in the time it would take for the labs to eat through all those packs, we would have refilled the belt from our production, even though it's slow. So it's okay. Like, we'll just leave it where it's at. Not a big deal. But anyway, so we are getting closer to the end game. Basically, once we get the space science packs, or the white ones, we can launch the satellite, which is first step, and then we can start building the rocket silo and doing all that noise as well. So not too bad. We are going to end up building a rocket fuel factory in order to power the rocket, obviously. So I think you can use you use light oil and solid fuel. So solid fuel can be built out of any of the oils. We're going to end up using light oil to make solid fuel and then throwing it back through with more light oil to make rocket fuel. Just because we've got a lot of light oil. Like if we go over to our refinery down here, and this isn't actually all of the light oil we're producing either. So this is full on petroleum and light oil right now. So we've got 125,000 light oil inside of these tanks, which is just an ungodly amount. We are going to build some more tanks though, because we need more storage for all of the oils except for lubricant in order to keep this refinery running, which needs to happen because as it stands right now, like we're going to run out of lubricant, which is required to build our robots and other stuff. So we want to expand this. It's not too difficult. Basically, we're just going to add in a couple more tanks. So I can do that and that. There's 3. Let's start with 3 for now. I need to add another heavy oil. I need to add some more light oil. We'll probably actually focus on light oil. So we'll do something like that for now, just so we can store enough. Like this is already getting full. So we really need to start making rocket fuel is what we need to do. Because then we can start burning through some of this. Like we can use heavy oil, light oil, and petroleum all to make the solid fuel. And then it just takes light oil to make the rocket fuel after that. So it's not too bad. This is built in assembly machines. These are built in chem plants. So I guess let me build like 6 chem plants and we'll do 2 for each. So we'll do 2 heavies, 2 petroleums, and 2 lights, making solid fuel. And we'll build a buffer chest of that, and then we can send the rest going in kind of how we want. So it's pretty easy. So like solid fuel is really easy. It takes basically it just takes the oil in order to craft it. So like really I should set this up a little bit different. So I should have, and actually this outputs the oils too. So I'm going to set up 2 for heavy, 2 for light, and 2 for petroleum, I think, to make solid fuel, which that is a lot of solid fuel. Like, we'll never use all this solid fuel, in all honesty, but that's fine, just so it can kind of process some of this oil that we're storing up. So we'll do that. Now, I just need to figure out which one is which. That's heavy oil is right there. So I need to take heavy oil and move it over this way, and then I can just kind of plonk that. Cool, so they have heavy oil, light oil is the one right next to it, so that one's pretty easy. I can just bring it straight up like that. Boom, they have light oil, and this one I think is hydrocarbon, or petroleum, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't necessarily matter, same thing. So there's that. Actually, I guess I could go one more, and then, well, actually, no, I can't go one more. I have to leave it a little bit of space. So we'll just do something like this. It's fine. Like, I'm not too worried about it, in all honesty. And then there's that. So once we power these, we will have our solid fuel being produced, which is good, because we do need rocket fuel. Like, you do need rocket fuel. Like, it's required to actually power the rocket and stuff like that. So it's not a problem that we're making this now. It will get used and everything like that. So basically what I'm gonna do is something kind of like this, so we have it going on both sides of this belt. I'm probably gonna use a stack inserter to buffer this in a chest, just so we've got some reserves. Like, it doesn't hurt anything to reserve solid fuel in addition to rocket fuel. We probably won't ever use this solid fuel because rocket fuel is better, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and just buffer some in here. This will hold a shit ton of fucking solid fuel in addition to what it's going to take to build the rocket fuel. and we'll build 2 factories making rocket fuel as well. This also takes light oil, so we need to take a little bit of this light oil and run it down. Not too big of a deal. We'll just throw a pipe right there, and we'll just run it across like so. Cool, pretty easy. Next, it needs solid fuels, which are right here. So the only problem with doing this is it's going to make it a little bit trickier to make the rocket fuel easy to access, but that's alright. What we'll do is we'll have the solid fuel going like this. I do need to break this rock, unfortunately. Cool, there's that. And then I guess we will just have long arms going off to deposit it, and then we'll put that inside of a buffer chest as well, just like so. And this should work pretty good. Let's go ahead. Those are going to go in. Those are going to go out. And all I really need is this inserter right here. And now we're making rocket fuel. So that's good. This will kind of help use some of the oil that we've stored up. That way our refineries can keep running. That's the main thing. Like, it's not the end of the world either way, even if those tanks do fill up. Like, we've got a fuck ton of fucking robots. Like, we've got so many, it's crazy. This one only has like 80 inside of it, but like that's only 80 out of, you know, the like probably close to 100 roboports that I have built, so not a big deal. These are relatively slow at producing, so we could expand this a little bit farther, maybe have like 4 of them. Might be slightly better, so I think we'll do that. We'll make 4 just so we are producing it relatively quickly. Like I said, you don't have to do this at all. Like, 1 is enough typically if you start producing early enough. It's just I want to make sure that we've got everything rolling the way it's supposed to. So I'm gonna put these one or that one like this, just because I need this to go onto the belt. But there's that. We'll throw in this, and boom, more rocket fuel. And you can use rocket fuel to power anything that takes fuel. So like our steam engines that we've got, we could power that with rocket fuel if we really wanted to. We could also power it with solid fuel. If we decide to set up some trains, which might be a good idea, we can power that with rocket fuel or solid fuel. So, I mean, making all this stuff is fine. It kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. It uses the excess oil that we're creating, and in addition to that, it is generating the resources we're going to need to launch the rocket and the satellite. So not a big deal. We'll get there eventually. But we already have four whole pieces of rocket fuel in here. Great. I guess we can look at the research and kind of see what we've got. So as far as what's next, like, we probably should do rocket control unit. We probably should do logistics system. We're gonna need, so like if we look at space science packs, for example, we need to do rocket control units, we need to do speed modules 3, and then we can do the silo, which basically you need the silo and these control units built in order to launch the satellite. Space will allow you to do the satellite, and then once you have space packs, that just unlocks all the rest of the research. It's not a big deal. You don't actually need to make space science packs to complete the game, as far as just launching the rocket into space is concerned. But I think what I want to do first is the logistics system, just because that is really useful. Then I can use robots to kind of build factories. So like all the items that are inside of those red chests, once I have logistics system, we'll get what's called a requester chest. And requester chests, you can tell your robots, hey, I want such and such item delivered to this chest right here, and it will take them from a red chest and deliver it to whatever chest, right? So, like, for example, red circuits. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass to build red circuits in order to, you know, run like one factory or whatever. So if you have red circuits inside of a provider chest, you can use the requester chest to deliver red circuits across the map as long as it's in roboport range. So that's kind of the thought. If we get logistic systems research, we can kind of use the robots a little bit more on that. It does take logistics robots to run that, but we've been producing robots for, you know, a long time as far as this playthrough is concerned. So it's not a big deal. We should have plenty of logistics robots to be able to kind of do that. This has a lot of fucking batteries. I kind of want to expand the power a little bit. Like, we don't necessarily need to expand power right now, but I kind of want to anyway. So we're just going to blueprint out a couple more things for the robots to build. Like, I don't even know if I have enough solar panels to build all these, but it's fine. As they get produced, the robots will bring them over and fill those in. Just so we're staying on top of power. Like, I don't want to run out of power at any point. Like, technically speaking, we're producing 613 megawatts, or we can produce that much, and we're only using about 160, and that's while we're charging our accumulators as well. So, like, once the accumulators are charged, that'll drop off. So yeah, we're barely using 110 megawatts of power, right? But we could produce almost 700 megawatts of power. So that feels like a good ratio to me, just because it means I can add stuff to the factory without having to worry about power at all. Like, I know that I've got enough power to do this. So, like, here come all the robots with all of our tier 2 solar panels. That's great. The other benefit of doing this is I could potentially start upgrading to solar panel Mark IIIs and use the robots to deliver the Mark II panels over to our Mark III factory, and then all I have to do is make copper cables and red circuits in order to power it, or to craft those items, which would be kind of nice. So we might take a look at doing that next time. I don't know, we'll kind of see. Like, we don't necessarily need to, like, we've got enough of everything, but anyway, just thought we'd kind of take a look at that. I think we're going to end the episode here for today. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, comment, subscribe as always, and until next time, this has been Lone Debater 7, and we will see ya.